Welcome back to AMAC's podcast, Better for America. I'm Rebecca Weber here with Andy Mangione, and I'm so pleased and honored to have with me Claston Bernard. Claston is a candidate in Louisiana's District 2 running for congressman. And what I find so amazing about you, and pardon me, but I do need to read these notes because this is quite impressive. You are a two-time Olympian, okay, which you are a national champion with Louisiana State University and a gold medalist in the Commonwealth Games. This is just fantastic. So if you can tell us a little bit about your background, tell us what brought you here to America, as I understand, and I'd love to hear this amazing history of your success in the Olympics that shows such perseverance, strength, and determination.
I tell you what, I'm an immigrant from Jamaica, and the reason why I'm sitting right here now is because my great-grandfather told my dad the best way out of poverty is through education. So we grew up in a two-bedroom house, no electricity, no running water, but my dad put his shoulder to the wheel. There's four of us, and he made sure we got in the best high schools in Jamaica academically. It was at my high school, all-boys boarding school, that I was able to hone in my athletic talent. Well, while I was there was a guy, I was looking for a way to go to college. And I was like, it's expensive in Jamaica, it's expensive overseas, what do I do? God blessed me with athletic talent. So there was a guy at my high school who got a scholarship to UT Arlington to study engineering. And I said, that's my way out. But now, in that same process, Ben Carson's book, Gifted Hand, was handed to me by a friend whose dad was a doctor. And I read that book and I was like, man, his lifestyle is similar to mine. He became a neurosurgeon. And I started realizing, and now you can even look at Justice Clarence Thomas. They came out of similar situation that I came out of, but they were able to climb the ladder. So being at my high school, I honed in my athletic talent. By the time I got ready to leave my high school in Jamaica, I had probably 21 scholarship offers. So I narrowed it down to 5 visits. And my first visit was in 1997 to Louisiana State University. LSU Tigers, baby. That's me. I'm on purple, so.
Baton Rouge.
Yes, yeah. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Yeah. And I had started my visit there. And when I went there in 1997, I fell in love with the place.
Sure.
I said, no more visits. This is where I'll be. This is where it will start. And I was not disappointed. I became a 2-time Olympian, finished 9th in my last Olympic in the decathlon. I became NCAA champion, also 4-time SEC champion, Commonwealth Games gold medalist, in addition to graduating with my degree in human resource management. So Louisiana made me a champion. Louisiana has given me a lot. And that's because of the capitalistic system. I had something they wanted, and I was able to take advantage of the system that was here. And 20-something years later, here I am. I'm now an author of 3 books. I'm an entrepreneur, and I want to give back. Because what people need to hear is the inspirational story as to how we can overcome those barriers to make it in this great country.
Okay, and I just wanted to remind particularly our members that live in Louisiana too, Claston is going to be on the ballot early voting starts March 3rd through March 13th.
March 6th.
March 6th. March 6th through March 13th, and the election itself is on March 20th. Wanted to ask you about your entrepreneurial spirit. Tell us, what kind of businesses are you involved in?
I have a building inspection company, and like I said, I'm an author. But you know what? As an athlete, you learn to work for yourself. It's like you're motivated, and when I'm working for people, I realize they don't always work as hard as I want to work. And in America, you can be whatever you want to be. So why not embrace that? I wanted the independence. I wanted, and I realized the harder that I work, the more success I get. So, that's the entrepreneurial dream. That's a free market system at work.
I'm sorry, Rebecca, I love this picture. This picture of Claston and his family right there. You're a husband and a father.
Yes, 2 girls, 8 and 3.
It is wonderful because that is what made me recognize the difference. I always learned the difference between success and failure is very, very small. People think that in order to succeed that you need to be exponentially better than the last person or the next person, but that is not the case. It's really about having a winning attitude and a conviction in your heart, a can-do attitude. Clearly, you embrace that attitude. You would not have been so successful in sport as an athlete as you have been. but I think that I know that you also recognize the importance of family. In other words, you started out by sharing with us that it was your father who recognized that it was important that you and your siblings attended a good school and that you had structure. Today, it seems that the family is not being promoted. We see so many, and it's especially harmful in lower income households where you've got either single parenting, you've got parents that are struggling to put food on the table and maybe don't have the same means to homeschool or to put their child through a private school. Perhaps transportation means aren't right there. Can you tell us how you propose your ideas on strengthening the family, the importance of family for overall success in America as a whole?
I'll start with this. The family was the first institution created by God. Government
Amen.
is downstream. So the family is the family's responsibility for your well-being, your health care, your education, and your faith. The government does not get to dictate any of those things. That's a problem with politicians. They're always talking these fancy policies, photo ops, virtue signaling, but the reality, we have to first recognize the strength of who we are as a country, and the government is inferior to the family. So I can tell you this, in my district, 40% of kids are in poverty. Now, when you look at the statistics of married couples, only 5.1% of those children live in poverty.
Right.
Poverty, marriage reduces poverty by as much as 80%, but you don't hear politicians talking about that. They're not talking about, if you look at my platform, you will see that I have incentives to reward people from getting off government welfare over a 3 to 5 year period. And once they get off welfare, if they have a child, they'll be incentivized for education and also expenses for that baby. So you get a child, you put money aside for educational expenses, and also $5,000 to cover upfront expenses when the baby is born.
Right.
Because we have to reward that. And each child that is born after you get off welfare, we will reward you with the same thing because we need the strength. If you look at, I can say this, when the Pilgrims came, they wanted freedom to worship. They came in 1620, it was about freedom to worship, take care of their family, raise their own crops, build a life for themselves. But the key thing for them was they held dearly to God and family. In slavery, when all things were working against black Americans, it was God and family they held dearly to. And they try to strip the family. They try to break the family apart. But during slavery, up to 80% of slaves were married. During slavery, during oppression, during
That's
Jim Crow.
interesting to
Right.
know that, yeah.
In 1960, you still had kids being born, I think up to 80% in two-parent home.
Right.
The difference is that the government is superseding the role of the family.
That's right.
And when the government supersedes the role of the family, the government wants to become God or elevate itself above God. So it is doing, whether it's out of good intentions or not, the policies are anti-family.
Right.
They're
Right.
anti-family. And that's what I'm here to speak about. Someone asked me recently, what are you proposing? I said, family is one of my policies. And they said, what do you mean? First of all, if you finish high school with the proper skill, if you get married, get a job, keep a job, stay married, you will have wealth. The numbers are there.
Yes.
That's what we should be talking about because those are things that work. And as American, it says in the 14th Amendment, where if you're born or naturalized here, you are an American. That's it, period. And that's who I'm speaking to. I'm not speaking to black, white, Republican, Democrat. I could care less. Mm-hmm. I want success. I want Louisiana to move from the bottom. And most people know what the problems are. But they need to understand that the solutions are there. My after-school education program is designed to work for kids between 6 and 17 years old. Whatever skill you need to learn, singing, dancing, plumbing, pipe fitting, if you want to take piloting courses, whatever you need to do to better yourself, by the time you get out of high school, you have some kind of viable skills to where you don't have to go to college, get trapped with debt, or get sold or scammed by some of these colleges, to where now you come out being bitter and thinking that now the government owe you something. Right. We need to change that rhetoric, or you have a kid who's saying, man, you know what, I'm working at McDonald's, and you know what, I might just spit in your food.
Right. Right, exactly. You've been, I can certainly see why family is an important plank in your platform.
Yes.
Wanted to talk to you, you kept mentioning slavery, and you had mentioned in the past that the Green New Deal is a path to slavery. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, the reality is when you see proposal like that, okay, we talk about fossil fuels, computers, airplanes, cars, medicine. There's so many things that fossil fuel is used for. Recently in the South, Louisiana and Texas, there was a cold snap. We need fossil fuel. The Green New Deal is always being posited as some way, somehow to make the environment better. But again, we have regulations. We keep up with those regulations to make sure companies are doing what they're supposed to do, and when they get caught, normally they get penalized. But the Green New Deal is always the back door for socialists. Now it's becoming the front door for socialists to take over America. And socialism is one step to serfdom. That's where that is going. So we have to fight against that kind of stuff. We need to educate. That's why education is a foundation of my platform, because we need to educate people on what works and what doesn't work. We need to be doing those things. And that's why I'm like, Green New what? The only green we need to see is money. How to create money. That's the Green Deal that I want. That's the Green New Deal. How do you help the black family, the struggling Native American, the struggling Hispanic American? How do you help them bring more green and show them how to get to the greener pastures? That's the Green New Deal I'm about. That's what we need to be talking about.
You know, Claston, I'm so glad that you brought up these great statistics, because people need to understand that it's the truth. They're not just, it's not just a wish list or some dream. In fact, there is truth in the numbers, so to speak, that the family is so important.
Yes.
And children growing up in a good family with a mother and a father, understanding that they have a creator who made them, is such a wonderful starting place to really build a good character in people. And so I love that you aren't afraid to rattle off those very real statistics, and you're doing something about it.
Yes.
I have two more questions for you. Quickly, I want to ask, share with us, you said you're an author. Yes. How can we get a hold of some of your books, and can you tell us a little bit about them?
Well, my book, I have 3 books. One is called Outcast, No Room at the Table for Conservative Blacks in Black America. Black Americans are not owned by the Democratic Party. Most black Americans I've ever come across are very conservative. Doesn't matter how they vote. Part of the reason why they vote the way they vote is we have vacated the marketplace. We are not competing for their votes, and we spout off a lot of conservative rhetoric, but we don't go and touch people. Right. The gospel is about touching people. The same thing, conservative movement is supposed to touch people. So they're there, but I also know that most of them think the way that I do, and they want the things that I want. So that's, for me, in a nutshell, it says who we are as a people. That's what I'm appealing to. There's so much I want to say, but there's so much I want to do for the people, not just Louisiana, or my congressional district, but for this country. My second book, I Was Born a Winner. It documented the struggles that I had to overcome to get to to get a scholarship, to get to the Olympic Games, just to be able to travel and see the world. The other book is Whose Voice Do We Hear? And that's a book about my Christian beliefs. And the book actually described the last event of my 2004 Olympic game, the 1500 meters. My coach had said, look, I'm a pretty good 1500 meter runner at the time. For a guy 6'4", 220 pounds, I could still run, 4.5 minutes in the 1500.
Wow.
So, I normally run from the front and then let the guys who are more better, catch me. So my coach said, no, I'm gonna have you run from the back because you have speed and stamina that can make up. So we prepared going into the 1500 meters, going to the last event of the decathlon. I was in 6th place, I think 6th or 5th place. So all I needed to do was to run my personal best and run a little faster to move up to 5th or 4th. Well, at 600 meters in the race to go, something said, man, you're tired. Wait. Ooh. Something just said that. Wait. Yeah. Now I've prepared all this time to execute.
Right.
So I waited till 400 meters to kick.
And then you turned it on.
And I turned it on.
Yeah.
And when I got to the finishing line, I was not tired. And
Amazing.
I listened to something that was not God's voice. I was never tired. And we have to be careful to the voice we listen to.
Oh, what a great message.
That's a great, just have about 30 seconds left. I want you to look into the camera and tell people why they should vote for you.
Why they should vote for me is because I care. I'm a champion. Louisiana made me a champion. I will be Louisiana champion in Washington, D.C. You can find my story at bernardforcongress.com. Go share my stories. There's some powerful videos there. Look, we can turn this tide. We have to make this about the people of America and the people of Louisiana. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And what I love about you is you are a walking, living example of the American dream. It's alive and it's well, and it's all about what you believe and how you think and how you execute. So thank you for this wonderful reminder. It was an absolute pleasure. We look forward to supporting all of that what you do, because you are really stand in support of the very values that our members care about,
Yes.
AMAC members.
Good luck with the campaign, Claston.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you.